Academy of Fine Arts in Gdańsk, the Design Department of Architecture and Design Faculty, Maciej Wojcicki, Diploma Project, Children's Trade Vehicle, conferred by Professor Jacek Popek, consulted with the lecturers of Academy of Physical Education and Sport in Gdańsk. Music Jerzy Partyka. The Genesis. The subject of my diploma project is a vehicle for children of kindergarten age. The genesis of child vehicles we might have found in the beginning of muscle strength-propelled machines like those of Leonardo da Vinci. He is a father of all HPV vehicles. As the next stage after many years, I could find a rolling vehicle called a drasin, which became a part of our world during the Industrial Revolution as an effect of the age of blossoming invention. The drasin became a basis for later bicycles and velocipedes that all utilize most effective kind of a man propulsion, pedaling. Those vehicles gradually evolved to become today's bicycle. After the Second World War, technology of production development and the increase of consumption caused children vehicles to appear on the world market. They were mostly miniature versions of real cars, motorcycles and even aeroplanes driven by pedals or wrapping connectors. Since the 1950s, children's vehicles have evolved because producers have discovered a new kind of customer and his needs. Then came the change in approaching children's vehicle design. They have started to be seen as an important element of a child's education and motor development. We can observe this in several child vehicles designs. Due to an attachment to pedaling as a form of propulsion, this kind of toy, which sometimes looks even like a Formula 1 racing car, is still produced. This can be seen as an example of quantity on the motion toys field. The state of today. There are many kinds of motion toys. Among them are vehicles, roundabouts of all kinds, jumping toys, seesaws, swings, and many others. Each of these categories of toys influences different scopes of child development, more or less purposely and more or less correctly. Main assumption. The brief was to design an interesting, attractive toy for a child in kindergarten age, which lets the child move along some route, and in the same piece an exercise equipment which lets the child realize a specific motor development program which improves its motor and nervous system functions. The basis of this project is to satisfy one of the main child needs, the need for movement. Motion games in response to the need for skeletal muscular system development and developing in this very period of the child's life details of the nervous system for muscles are the significant part of an everyday child's activity. The design way. After I made myself familiar with psychological and emotional development aspects of a child in kindergarten age, with the help of professional literature, I visited several kindergartens where I was speaking to children as well as to teachers. This way I verified the theoretical knowledge in practice. I started consultations with the Academy of Physical Education and Sport lecturers. On the basis of conclusions which emerged from our consultations, several ideas came into being. Some of these concentrated on research around several muscle groups, with the key function being to maintain a child's correct posture. As a result of this project, a vehicle emerged, driven by the movements which engaged mostly the leg and trunk muscles. This led to an advanced prototype stage. I designed a second and alternative vehicle, the aims and movement characteristics of which were similar, however the way this was realized was different. After I led this project to a working prototype stage, I found it to be equally good as the previous one, though more interesting and original. Following this, I started to consider the movement characteristics, the way in which the vehicle turns, its construction and appearance. The project. One of the key aspects of child's development is to keep the right postural alignment, which is very important from an overall health standpoint. Correct posture should be maintained through physical activity. The most important parts of child's muscular development in relation to postural alignment are the muscle groups of the trunk and legs. A vehicle I designed, by specific kinds of movement driving it, supports the development of some parts of trunk musculature and physiological front-back curvature of a child's spine. Driving movements are symmetrical, which is good for the correct positioning of a child's body parts and supports its even development. The driving cycle demands balance keeping and body weight moving, not only leaning back and forward, but a combination which demands a greater physical effort and muscle-nerve coordination. About the 5th year of child's life, its coordination skills start to develop. At this period, more complex tasks should be introduced to a child's games. For example, task combinations in changing circumstances. A child is mastering the techniques of activities executing and is training its precision and purposeness. At this time, the interests of this kind of activity should be stimulated by choosing the right kind of games and equipment. The new toy vehicle meets those requirements and gives the child the opportunity to improve its coordination and conditional skills. The additional trump of this kind of vehicle is the possibility to use it in medicinal exercises as a game to play. This could be a more interesting kind of rehabilitation than other traditional ones for children with light movement malfunctions. Playing in groups is especially valuable because of the aspects of socialization. Stride vehicle can be used in competing between groups of children during arranged games. Another kind of game valuable to children is thematic game, a game of illusion when the child is playing certain part or follows their reality using their imagination. I designed the shape of the toy not to impose the game topic, but to let the child use fantasy to build a story around it. The vehicle is a design for kindergartens and rehabilitation consultancies, but it could be used at home as well. It is meant for children between 5 and 7 years of age. Games and exercises with this toy are new, non-standard and attractive for a child. They are different than others appearing in everyday life, which is a trump for this vehicle as it teaches children how to manage their own bodies. The author and conferrer would like to thank two people who made their contribution to this project: Academy of Physical Education and Sport in Gdańsk lecturers, and also management, tutors and children of kindergarten number 23 in Gdańsk Nowy Port.